welcome to the show. And I've got more mail that came in overnight. A couple pieces of mail about the movie Django, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, Strider Chip is writing in saying, "Hey, Player Supreme, let me say I've been watching and listening to your videos for quite some time now. I must say that your teachings to me is on a spiritual level. I went ahead and bought your 7 Steps program. I finished about a couple of days of the program and learned that a lot of the game was in me already." I'm glad you realized that. "I just need a few things I need to work on. That is, being myself, improve my confidence and social skills. I think I already had the social skills. To me, approaching women is simple. I feel like approaching women I want now. After realizing I know every answer to my problems, but I don't act on all of them. For instance, recently I've been meeting a lot of women at my job. That is not a good place to hunt there, Strider. You can get fired. You don't want to get unemployed. That means you got to go looking for another job. You got to take drug tests. You have to do the interview process all over again. Even if it's a job at like Mickey D's, it's still a long process. You got to go down and sign up for unemployment. You don't want to get. You don't want that. Okay, women in my job, in public, at the mall, never mess with girls at work. Okay, that's the rule here, Strider. Okay, I hope that you listen to that. That's one of that's one of the firm rules. You don't mess with women at work. Let those women get their dollar on without dudes harassing them at work. Okay, a lot of which took notice of me. Eye contact. I can remember hanging out with my friends in Dave & Buster's. I was in the price section looking at these mini football helmets when this Latina chick walks over and starts talking about the 49ers. We then start chopping game for about a good 5 to 10 minutes. But as we were chatting, she had some guy friend. I assumed it was her boyfriend, but he wasn't saying anything or doing anything, implying that this is my chick. So I was thinking about getting her number and maybe try to see if we can hook up tonight. But I didn't ask her for her number because I thought that guy was her boyfriend. Yeah, I would have left alone. If she's with another dude, I would just leave alone. She could just be one of those friendly types. Don't assume every girl's trying to bone you. That's a mistake a lot of guys make when they start learning about the game. If a girl just looks in their direction, a lot of guys think, "Oh, that girl chose me." Instead of eye contact, the girl just happened to look in the guy's direction, saw some movement. Okay? All right. Generally being more of yourself around women, about thinking, about judgment of your actions. I think I know the answer to my question. What do you think? Okay, let's see. So my question is, how can I saying what it is want to say with women, like talking about sex and hookup? I'm not sure I know what you're asking me. Your grammar, you must be English as a second language. How can I saying what it is want to say what you want? If they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. Just be careful of what you say, because if you make it too sexual, they can call the cops on you. Alright. Twin Spartan Django. Yo, Supreme is crazy in the Django movie how when DiCaprio was talking about the skull and that those 3 dimples were on submissiveness and black people was more submissive than any other. That they just put that in there for the movie. That's actually one of the things they used to believe about black folks back in the like 1700s, 1600s. They also thought, when they started going to Africa, that black people had 3 legs and 1 eye. That's what they put in the newspaper in England. Okay, that's just one of those fallacies. They also thought that we had smaller brains. This is recent though, in the 1900s. The Germans went down and measured. The Nazis went down and measured, blacks' brains, and ours are bigger, or Africans are bigger than Europeans. So it's just different skull structures. Europeans have those flat, high, like someone took a book and BAM! Smashed them in their forehead. Their foreheads go straight up. Okay? Africans' arts tend to be more rounded. Okay, what else? Let's see. I was like, people would actually believe that? Back then they were stupid. Even back in the 1900s they were stupid. They're twin. Alright. Next, Tariq review of Django Unchained. And I actually, this is the first time I ever actually listened to a whole Tariq Nasheed show, and I agree with everything he said on there. I actually listened to Tariq Nasheed's show my first time. I've tried to listen to him before, and I have nothing to learn, so it just doesn't, hold my interest. But this was really good what he had to say on there. I listened to a couple of ones where he was yelling at people and cussing and stuff like that, and like I used to like to listen to Payroll the Pimp when he would just like go off on somebody and cuss them out and shit like that. And he was doing the same thing. I think they were doing each other. There's like internet battles back then. Payroll against Tariq and Tariq against Payroll the Pimp and stuff like that. They call him Gay Roll, and and Payroll would come back on them and shit. I don't waste my time with stuff like that. That's why I think someone was trying to get me to blast out on this ignorant young kid who's got his attitude up now, but I'm getting a little tired of that stuff. Black folks blast out on black folks. It's like, we gotta learn to get along. This is to my brothers up there. We gotta learn to get along out here. Okay? That's how they keep us apart. How we don't gain any power. And they did it to us. They being the people in power, who I'll leave nameless. So, once we learn to get along, then we become a powerful force. But you know what? We're right in the position that we deserve to be in. Okay? A lot of black folks, complain about the position the black race is in, but we're right where we deserve to be until we stand up as one. We got to earn that right. The respect has to be earned from the other races. We can't just demand it. So we have to become more respectable. Like, I look at how the Asian folks come to America and they start businesses and they stick together, they have the community. We need that same type of stuff. But we don't do it. So we're right where we deserve to be, unfortunately. I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I'm not no Uncle Tom, kiss ass type of dude. But I look at the real honest truth of things. On the blog, one of the fellas was complaining about our race. If I can go find that comment that he made. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. Looks like the angry kid is still thumbing down videos. That's kind of immature and pussy-ish.
Okay, brothers, I'm back.
After I've taken his face out, there should be no reason why he should come to the channel to thumb down videos. That's just showing, immature vindictiveness. Alright, let's see. Chicago has just reached its 500th murder this week. Mostly blacks killing blacks. I would bet all the money I have that the second half, before both actors met their destiny, the shooter and the victim, somewhere buried in their minds was the idea that the white man was the source of all their problems. The fact is, once you're dead, all your concerns about whether the black man invented the waffle iron or the ubiquitous, abusive policeman who hasn't got to me yet won't matter a bit. That's from Mr. Sanford. Let's see, Jeremy. See, that's why I hate listening to True African History. And that's where Jeremy, you're a kid. You should never hate listening to True African History, ever. There should be no reason for you to even make that statement. Okay? It's good to know where you really come from. Why live a fucking lie? And Caucasian folks should be angry too. They've been lied to. Alright? And my Caucasian listeners, you should be angry that you were lied to about black people and the history of black folks. Just so they can program you. You should be pissed off too. Alright. That's why I hate listening to True African History. That statement, it just irks me the wrong way, Jeremy. It sets me into a whole different state. because we as black people don't want to do shit with it except be aware of it and complain about the conditions we face now contrary to our ancient and modern past. Okay, I agree with you on that, and as I said earlier, we're in the condition that we're in because we deserve it until we learn to stand up. Now, knowing where we come from is actually important because it empowers the race. Very few blacks will even accept the truth of our past history. Very few will. Until we all start, saying, hey, let's stand together. It's going to be this way. Okay? You're right, because like you said, Supreme, don't let it get to you. But it's in our nature to let it get to us. Yeah. So that we'll do something about it. What's to do? We don't rise up, burning cities and stuff. No. We need to learn to come together as one. Quit all this fighting and bickering and shit. Come together as one. But all we do is make ourselves aware of new knowledge, which is important to, what you don't see, Jeremy, it's important to self-empowerment. Okay? As you know, here in America, every black that we talk to, our confidence is, most of it's fake. It's that overblown bravado stuff. Okay? To hide the real shit inside. Knowledge that we can use as an argument against what we are going through today. And I think we as a people are becoming more close to extinction than ever before, because society has continued to use tactics of divide and conquer. Yeah, they really got us on that one. Like the Bloods against the Crips, that was one of their inventions. Every aspect of us being a people. We will only get closer to extinction unless we first and only come together for the sake of being of African descent. You got good points here, but never say hate listening to real history. Okay? Because it gives you self-empowerment to know the truth. That we weren't ignorant. I mean, we did a lot of stuff when we came to this country. Look at Eli Whitney when he invented the cotton gin. Do you know where he got the idea from? He was watching a slave's invention. Slaves didn't copyright the shit. Okay? He saw a slave with this machine that did stuff to cotton. Went home, coined it, probably made some modifications, I'm sure, and then boom, patented it. But that put the slaves out of business too, with cotton gin. There was no reason for it. Then we had the Civil War, broke out, I'm stretching time, moving time around, but we had the Civil War break out and shit like that, and the slaves are freed. Okay. So, again, I enjoyed listening to Tariq Nasheed's show. It was my first time I listened to the whole thing. I don't normally go around and listen to other gurus. I think when you do that, you might have a tendency to absorb other people's ideologies sometimes and start mimicking their shows. I think that's better for me to keep myself pure and just do what I do. Okay? Because I know that a lot of them have been to my site. A lot of the Caucasian gurus have been to my site. I busted quite a few of them on my site. And next thing you know, they got this product coming out. But I guess they come there to get some more ideas and stuff like that, listen to my shows, my ideas, and take it back. Because the market is changing. When I started, they didn't talk about eye contact or any type of signs of interest. It's now, of course, they recoined it as IOI. They didn't believe in going to nightclubs. You guys remember that, who have been in this community for a while. The nerds didn't want to go to nightclubs. Now they're going to nightclubs. They didn't believe in dressing. Now you see all the gurus wearing a nice blazer. Exactly what Jovina put out. A nice little blazer when they go out and they teach. They learned to dress it up. So finally they got a little bit of social skills about them and started getting smart. Okay. eventually the whole PUA thing is going to change. It's going to get back to the way the game really is. What I've been doing for a long time. And they're going to coin it and say it was theirs. Watch. Mark my word. So every black teacher that's been teaching the way the game really is, they're going to lose out. Because, you know, black folks, we don't control the internet. In fact, we don't control the states. We don't control the world. And that's just the way it is. So what we got to do is just get ours and get in where we can fit in. Peace.